horse for me, Caroline, is probably Northerly, the Fighting Tiger from WA. I have a little bit of a soft spot for him, having been born and raised in Western Australia. Just a little bit of another connection with him as well. My interest in horses started in standardbreds, and of course Northerly was trained by Fred Kersley, who's a harness racing great who progressed over to the thoroughbreds later on in his career. And I just remember sitting at home at my grandfather's place in Albany growing up and watching Northerly's first venture over to the eastern seaboard as a 4-year-old, of course culminating with a win in the Australian Cup, and then his 5-year-old campaign was just sensational. I remember watching, probably my favourite race was the 2001 Cox Plate, and I remember sitting anxiously as an 11-year-old on my grandfather's floor waiting for the stewards to come out with the result of the race after Viscount was squeezed up by himself and Sunline. So it was quite a stressful 20 minutes on the floor waiting to see what would happen, but he eventually got the job done and then came back the following year to do it all again when he beat Defire. So I'd say he'd be my gateway horse in terms of coming into the racing industry. I think I could compare it to best to horses like Black Caviar, for example, obviously one of our graduates here at Inglis, and just the fanfare that a horse like that can create. I mean, I know it wasn't only myself, the interest that Northerly created in Western Australia at the time was stupendous, and horses like Black Caviar, for example, just going to the races and seeing kids being involved, dressed up in the silks and the signs and the flags and everything else. It's just one of the great things about our sports, that we can create icons like that for people to get involved in, and then look, hopefully follow pathways similar to mine where they eventually decide to make it their profession.
That is Bred to Win for this week. Coming up on next week's show, we look at thoroughbred industry careers, educating new people to the breeding industry about the great opportunities to be had at studs around Australia. That's next week on Bred to Win. I'm Caroline Searcy. I look forward to seeing you then.
This program brought to you by Inglis, with more Group 1 winners, more Group 1 winning 2-year-olds and more Australian Group winners since 2018 than any other Australian auction house.